And I'm sure you have been asked this question many, many times. And I just got to know that you actually got inspired from MasterChef Australia. How was it first day on the set when you were a MasterChef judge?
It was a total pinch me moment because I remember telling my mom that one day she was like crying, that she's going to be doing this actually. I told her, why are you so worried? What will happen? It's not like I'm throwing my life away, but always thought you'll become an IAS officer, you'll become a CA, you'll become a doctor, you'll become an engineer, because these are conventional careers. This is quite unconventional. And I told her that no matter what, I will make you proud. One day you'll probably look at my face in a magazine cover or read an article about me or see a poster of me that you will be happy about it. I remember saying this, and then she called me and she said, I saw that the show is going to release and I saw your face all over, and I'm so proud.
So tell me something. How many years were you a chef?
I am a chef, so it's
Like, okay, I get it. Like, once a chef, always a
always
chef.
a chef.
But like
Yes.
professionally a chef,
Yes.
chef, and
Yes.
only like that.
Yes.
How long?
So, professionally, I've been a chef for 8 years now, and maybe a very nascent entrepreneur for 2 years. So, I always wanted to be a chef. I think that is something that my parents were like, what is going on? Like, maybe it's a hobby that she'll probably give up and be like, let go of it.
And when you say
But
always, like how long always? Since
yes. So when I was 13, this spark for cooking and baking started. So I know sounds like a cliched story, but then I baked a cake for my mother on Mother's Day. And the whole process was just like so new and so refreshing for me as a kid, because I come from a very traditional South Indian household where we don't generally have ingredients to bake with and things like that. So my friend used to travel a lot, and they would have like all these fancy ingredients coming in from Europe, from the States, and some from Australia, and they were like, I don't know what to do with it. And I was the experimental one in their house. So that's how it began. I think I absolutely loved it. And then I was so I think complete stardom towards MasterChef Australia. I was super curious when I saw it. I was like, what is this ingredient? I'd always like try and read up and sometimes see the dictionary if that ingredient was in the dictionary. Things like that. So all my allowances went into baking, buying ingredients, experimenting. What is this? And that I'm still, I think, now accessibility to information is so much easier that there were some few TV shows and some radio talk shows and somebody saying something about food, so you try and get it as much as you can. So that's how it began. And I think when I got to my 12th grade, they were like, okay, it's just a hobby, right? Like, you're gonna give it up. But I was pretty serious about it, and I did take all of the conventional entrance exams like IIT, JEE means, all of it, like just to say that I'm pursuing this because I love it, not because I don't have any other options, because that was the perception. अगर कुछ नहीं हुआ तो like they'll get into this industry. So yeah, I was like very hell-bent and stubborn, and I think my parents were like, took a lot of convincing, because I had people saying, बर्तन धोने जा रही हो, what are you doing, throwing away your life, is this something that bawarchi banne ja rahi ho? And I think, yeah, I was like, forget about all of it, I want to do this.
very cool.
I think the industry works in a fashion where we are putting in long hours, unconventional hours sometimes. So they were scared. I get where they come from because nobody in my family is in this industry. So for them, when I was doing my industrial training, I would leave home at like 9 a.m. and come back at 3 a.m. because we were doing break shifts and there were like 2 hours of break in between. But then for them, it's like she's working round the clock, and is this the life that you are choosing? So it was a lot of reassurance along the way that yes, I can make a career out of it. And I think along the way they were super supportive. Like my dad would come, wait, pick me up from the hotel after I was done because it was late, and he would like make friends with all my colleagues saying that she's safe, right? So things like that. But I think it's been spectacular. Now that I look back, I don't know what I would be if not a chef. So, yeah, I think it's worked out great, fortunately, touch wood.
And I'm sure you have been asked this question many, many times. And I just got to know that you actually got inspired from MasterChef
Yes.
Australia. How was it first day on the set when you were a MasterChef judge?
It was a total pinch me moment because I remember telling my mom that one day she was like crying, that she's going to be doing this actually. Like, I told her, why are you so worried? Like, what will happen? It's not like I'm throwing my life away. But she's like, no, but we've always thought you'll become an IAS officer, you'll become a CA, you'll become a doctor, you'll become an engineer because these are conventional careers. This is quite unconventional. And I told her that no matter what, I will make you proud. One day you'll probably look at my face in a magazine cover or read an article about me or see a poster of me that you will be happy about it. And I said this as a complete naive 17-year-old. Like, I had no idea what I was saying, but I remember saying this, and then she called me and she said, I saw that the show is going to release, and I saw your face all over, and I'm so proud. So that moment was like, okay, I've done something right, like maybe 10% right. So it was surreal. It was surreal. I didn't expect it. I think in this journey, I was at a certain low where you're thinking, is everything going right? You're questioning. And that's when this opportunity came along, and I was like, okay, things do work out. Everything happens for a reason. So trust the process.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes.
So, and after that, you decide, okay, I need a switch in career and I need to start on my own. What
Yes.
really prompted that?
I think because we were speaking earlier, and you said your main agenda was to work for yourself and not work for a boss. So that was always in my head because I mean, I was like, anything small, doesn't matter the scale, but I should be able to call something that this is mine and my brainchild. So I didn't think about like having multiple stores or what is it going to be like. I'm like, let me start small and figure this out. But I have this itch of doing something by myself. Someday at least. So I think even when I was switching jobs from a stable corporate job from the ITC, a lot of people were like, so you're already at a position and you want to give that up and start from scratch. Like, no, now everybody knows you as an ITC chef, but then you start from ground zero again. Everyone will be like, who's this? So are you willing to take that risk? So again, family, if you like, they were like, you must be nuts. Are you sure? Um, and that's also when I just got married. So they were like, you've just gotten married, you have to enjoy the, the honeymoon phase of the marriage. And I was like, no, this is probably something that I've been wanting to do, so let's give it a try. What's the worst that can happen? It'll not take off, and I'll try again. Or I have the skill in my hand, and I will do fine. I will do just good.
You can
So
always go back to
you
where
can
what you
always,
left. Yes.
yes, absolutely. And I think that confidence even I needed to build, that I have this strong foundation, that my skills are good, I'm good to be able to do something. So even if it doesn't work out, we are not in a bad place. We are always in a good place. So let's see what happens. I think that's how we began. So that was the idea. Something of my own, doesn't matter the scale.
And how did just this idea of something of my own translate to reality? What I mean, because you have to raise money, you have to figure out what to do, what kind of
Yes.
food, what kind of place, what kind
Yes.
of like pricing, like how did you figure out all those things?
So I think the foundation again mattered a lot. That I was professionally trained. I know what goes in front of the house, behind the house, what are the challenges. So even when we began, we needed the initial fund to bootstrap. So I was like, every Indian household has a budget for weddings. No matter what, they'll be like, हाँ इतना तो शादी के लिए is there for sure. So my parents also said the same, that we have this much funds for your wedding. So I said, I don't want this whole shebang of a wedding, because I also as a kid I never believed in it. I used to always tell my parents a small intimate wedding is what I like, and that's what we're going to do. And they kept saying, what will we say to people? Your sister's wedding was so opulent, and yours, like, they'll think we're cutting back. I said, so what? Let them think. So I said, I want those funds to start my business. So that's where I need some help from you guys. And luckily, both my parents and my in laws were convinced. And luckily, it was COVID at that time. So I didn't need a lot of, they didn't also need a lot of convincing. So I got married on the terrace of my house. It was cute, intimate, and we saved up a lot. So I was like, now I need to buy refrigerators, I need to buy ovens, I need to buy work tables, I need to buy a few ingredients to start off with, a little bit of packaging, branding. So this is what I need the money for. And they were like, okay, all right, are you sure? I said, yes, I'm 200% sure. So yeah, and then we just began. I think I still remember going to one of my friend. He doesn't do branding. He is a photographer, but he's got a really good eye for things. So I was like, Rohit, please design my logo. And he said, but Nikita, I don't do this. I said, I don't. I just know that you can. You're like super creative. So please help me out. Like, do something. So he's like, okay, have you decided a name? So I said, yes, Naomi. My husband and I, we thought if we ever have a daughter, we'll name her Naomi. So we went circles thinking about a name, and we finally landed on this. And he's like, but does it resonate to a patisserie? I said, it does. I mean, somewhere it might. And I said, the logo, I want a representation of a girl so that people know that it's a women founded brand. That's the representation I want, and that women are very welcome to join us and join the team. So that's the whole idea behind it. And I think we did a lot of pencil drawings. He sent me a couple of images, and then we finally decided on one. So I was like, okay, I'm going to pay you for this. He said, no, this is my first project that I've ever done any sort of a branding. So it's fine. And when you're beginning, all these little things matter so much. So I had incredible support from people, even from the chefs community. When I started off, somebody would recommend me to somebody. So we would take up a few caterings. private caterings, exclusive chocolate counters for like Diwali, for weddings, and I'm like, and I didn't think of these avenues when we started. I was like, how are we going to market it? I just told the same thing over and over and over again on Instagram, and kept picking up things. Because from having a structure where you just tell a purchase manager, I want this, 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 and it's there the next day, versus you going to vendors and be like, my quantities are just this much, but can you do something about the price? And they're like, ma'am, but the quantity to itna hi hai. And I'm like, please, like, even if you give me 100 rupees lesser, it'll make a difference to my food costs. So please do something. And they all did. So the word of mouth, social media, all of it was super helpful. And my husband, he's been the backbone. So he said, you quit first. I'll still be at work so that there's some stability. We're not like completely risking it all and going ground zero. If 1 month is not good, we'll sail through. So it started picking up, doing so well. I said, I can't manage it on my own because I'm bringing the ingredients, I'm making them, I'm packaging them, I'm delivering it. It's not a one person job. So he also quit. And there were times when my parents were unwell, so I would go to Bangalore. But orders are still coming in for Hyderabad. So he would be at his corporate job. Morning, he would wake up early, make the orders, finish them, deliver it, then go to work, then come back, then make them again so that it's ready for the next day. So I was like, let's not, we're just so small that I don't want to have a break in the ordering pattern already, that one day we are available, one day we're not available. I want people to order, even if it's just one cake. They should know that we are available. So we would video call and I would tell him, do this, do that. Luckily, he's also a chef, but he would do that and do sail through. So that's where we began. And later we started getting calls from people saying that I'd love to invest. Are you open to discussing this? And that time I used to always think that no, I still want to do something of my own, like grow it by myself. And then there came a point where I also had to think back, do I have the means and the money to be actually scaling this? And I do need some support. So that's when we finally decided that, all right, we'll get an investor on board. And the even the restaurant was never on the books. We thought we'll expand the cloud kitchen. But my husband's also a chef, and we keep complimenting each other. So we're like, okay, let's try for a restaurant. Let's see. He brings the salt, I bring the sugar. So we make some balance. Let's try this out. So honestly, how much of planning went into the restaurant is just very on the go. That we'll have these on the menu, we'll do these things. We did lots of trials of food. And I was talking to people, and within a month we had the restaurant up and running. So that was quite the experience. That's the foundation that helped. I called a few of my previous staff and told them, listen, I'm starting something. They're like, chef, bolo kab yahan pe resign karna hai. So they didn't even ask me or Akash, what are you doing? They just said, कब छोड़ना है and when do we join? I said, but आपने तो देखा नहीं है, जगह नहीं देखा है, क्या salary, कुछ बात नहीं किया. He said, I know that you'll take care of me and you'll figure it out, so let's do this. So I think that was a huge support for us because they knew our working styles and our working patterns, so it was easier to set up operations and be like, okay, the food part of it is taken care of to some extent. Everything else was definitely figuring it out on the go. Like you said, so many challenges. because
What were the hardest parts? See, there is a background that you were a chef at ITC, right?
yes,
So that background would have helped in some ways,
yes,
and those would be the things which made opening a restaurant easier.
yes.
But then, how is it like nowadays, moving from being a full-time chef at a hotel to
Yes.
running your own business? Because I'm sure there are like thousands of chefs across the country
Yes.
who want to do this,
Yes.
but they don't know what it takes to do this, or they don't have the courage to do this. How can we inspire people to do more?
I think it starts with the courage. It's a lot of, I think, lot of the times you are your own enemy in some ways. I think there's a lot of mental block that can I do this? Would it be possible? What if it doesn't work out? Is this the end of it? So all these questions even I had a lot of times, and I would be lying if I say that I don't have them anymore. It's a constant battle with your own mind. But the hardest parts were now the business part of it. Like once you have a place, what are the licenses you get? How do you deal with bureaucrats? How do you deal with people telling you that your electricity capacity is this much, your water supply would be only during these times? um, you got to talk to some agencies to get outsource a few staff, like some of the housekeeping, valet, security. So, and are you making the right deals or not? So all of these were, and figuring out GST as well. Like I know it's already been there, but it to till date, then having a CA on board, and then having a lawyer to see if your lease deed is all right, if your landlord is done good by you or not. So all of these things I think were the challenging part for us. Luckily, a lot of it was also dealt and made easier from our investor and our angel investor. But the day to day, you are still seeing it, and you're like, all these things are so new to you because you come from a setting where everything's organized, everything's taken care of. All you have to worry is, आज का खाना अच्छा था. If it's not nice, what do you do about it? How do you train your chefs? And how do you ensure your audits are in check? Versus now you have to like ground zero, you start, and then um, sometimes it's not like doing things in our country, unfortunately, sometimes is not the easiest way you take. That you'd go here and it gets done. It's not like that. You have to have some influence over a few things. So all of that was like an eye opener. Ki, how do I do this now? Because I have no connections whatsoever, and I'm like, okay, let's. You speak to one day you speak to someone, and then the next day there's somebody else, and then you're like beginning again with a few of the issues to resolve. So all of this was new, and it's a learning. I'm grateful that I already got to learn this in such a short span, because a lot of people take a lot of time to be able to learning all of this, and no business school can teach you this. I think I definitely, and again, you're managing your finances now. Now you are responsible for paying everybody else. So like we were saying, when you open a business, everybody else makes money off of it first than you. So yeah, you're the last person to be seeing some money off of it. And yes, so there are some delays sometimes in payments, and then you're like, how do I deal with this suddenly? And now you're like responsible for staff salaries and things like that. That's very real. That is like, okay, before I used to just conveniently draw salary from a company, and now I have to ensure that every month they are paid and paid on time. So yeah, I think
And I think one of the important things is what you said earlier, that starting small is okay, right? So
Yes.
and I think a lot of time when we want to quit our regular jobs, we think, okay, but I will quit for something large
Yes.
and something great,
Yes.
right? But the starting
Yes.
point of anything large and anything great is a small step.
Yes.
And when you quit your regular jobs, you start with something small and gradually
Yes.
build towards something big.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah, and that's also the coaching and the like learning that we need over time. And starting small really makes sense.
Yes.
So I think courage is the most important part. Like,
Yes. And I mean, you have also been so inspiring for all of us as well, right? I mean, um, to see Zomato where it is, it's amazing and brilliant. And the team, the way they take care of us is just. I'm not just saying it because I'm sitting here and I have to say this, but even with everybody who has been in touch with us, have been super helpful and super enthusiastic that what can we do more. I think that is always a great thing for a restaurateur to hear, because a lot of the times before, even I was under this impression that aggregators are taking away my business rather than thinking they are bringing more business to me. And I would definitely, without any filters, I used to think that when we started, we were like, no, like, we are also, there's commission involved, we're getting on board. Should we get on board? Should we not get on board? And that took, when we opened the restaurant, that exercise itself took us a good 3-4 months to finally get convinced that yes, let's be on board. Versus now that you see that a lot of things change and everything is so tech savvy and people want to be more digitally inclined. And as a restaurant, I wouldn't be reaching someone who's 10 kilometers away without aggregators. So that way, I'm really glad that we do have, and that we're constantly engaging in conversations that how can we make this better, how can we make that better. So that gives us a really good hope that yes, we're all working towards the customers and reaching them at the end of the day. So yeah, I think a lot of perceptions is changing, and now I barely see any restaurants not on online aggregators, I think. And a lot of
the
small
food delivery
kitchens.
market is also growing very, very
Yes.
fast, right? So I think
Yes.
that's the highest growing segment.
Yes.
And if somebody is not tapping into that, that's a loss
Yes.
for the business,
Yes.
right? So
Even when you're starting small, like cloud kitchens have emerged so much post COVID, like it has just been such a big boom that even you don't need to have a opulent setup, like a big setup, to be able to cater to people. So I think that's definitely been the biggest boon, that even if somebody is starting small, they can still reach out to a lot more people, rather than just doing word
absolutely.
of mouth.
Cloud kitchens, I mean, if you have the passion for food and you're willing to do your own work, you can
Yes.
set up a cloud kitchen for like 25 lakhs, like
Yes.
sometimes
Yes.
even less,
Even
depending
less.
on
I
the
started off
cuisine.
much lesser.
Yeah, depending on the cuisine that you're looking
Yes.
at, you can start off with much
Yes.
less. And if that's the kind of capital you need to start something,
Yes.
then I don't see a reason why you should not start something. Right? So,
All I can say is that it's not going to be super rosy, because
of
nothing
course,
is
nothing is.
nothing is
Nothing is
easy.
easy.
Nothing is
But
easy.
it's possible
It is
if you
possible.
actually stay at it. So,
Yes, it is possible, and like like a lot of people think, like some of the conversations I have is, you have been in the industry, you've seen the ugly truth of it, that it is not glamorous, it is not great sometimes, and you still got into this. Because I'm like, I don't know what else I would do. So I'd rather start with what I know first, and then probably expand my horizon. But this is all that I am good at right now, and this is what I'll expend all my energy into doing. So yes, I think if you think you're good at something, please do that first.
Absolutely.
And
And glamour is one of the last things that
yes,
our industry gets.
yes,
There's a lot of hard work and grunt work which goes
yes,
like behind the scenes, which
true.
customers don't really see. And
They they don't, but some are super supportive. Like I said, when I got out and I said I am starting something of my own, and it was just a cloud kitchen that I started from my house. Like we got a 3 BHK house just so that 2 rooms I could convert into like a professional kitchen, get FSSAI certification, all of that done. And I just put out the word that I've just started this is my baby, can you just should I send you something over? And they said no need, I will order. And they did order and they supported us so much. And even with orders that I have my baby announcement, so make 200 hampers, make 300 hampers, and I'm like, but I'm alone. How do I do this? And I was like, bring it on. Let's do this. So that sort of support really, really gave the confidence, and I'm so grateful to them because they are the reason why we have a brand up and running. Because some customers truly get so emotionally invested even with your journey that it is splendid. I think they are the initial pillars of your brand who take a shot that yes, I will order this from you, I will order that from you. And I was just I was like, let's do whatever it takes. I didn't have a lot of things on my menu, but they would ask. I'm like, it's okay, even if I'm making a small batch for you, we'll make it. Just so that you can taste something and get that confidence that yes, this is good. So that's probably where we began, and like not so stringent that I will do just this. If this is not in my menu, I'm not going to do it. So a lot of the times it'd be like, tomorrow is my daughter's engagement. Can you make a cake? And I'm like, okay, I have to stay up all night. I'm like, doesn't matter. They are there. It's an engagement. At least 20 people will see my brand, and at least two will remember it for the taste, and one will order. So I have at least one order coming in from that order. So yeah, that's pretty much where we were at.
so you actually mentioned the word brand quite a few times.
Yes.
Um, what makes for a good brand?
Uh, I think
What goes into it? Like,
I think like Naomi for us now, a lot of people have also understood the stories that we are also trying to tell via what we are doing. So a lot of the times when few customers come in and one table is asking why the name Naomi, and there's and sometimes very few, I'm not going to say a lot of times, but a very few times the other table is telling the chef couple wanted to name their daughter Naomi, and that's how the brand came. So somewhere I feel like the word of mouth and some awareness, and people know that this is what you're trying to do, all of that makes up. And with the people involved, the service that you're trying to provide, the product in itself, all of this. So I really can't nitpick and say that one thing
I
makes
heard a
a
few words. You have to have a story, your people, and the
yes,
quality of people,
yes.
your product. Am I missing something?
And definitely the service
And
that you
definitely,
give.
I mean that's
Yes,
part of people,
that's
right?
part
So,
of people, yes. So yes, and people should also grow when you're growing. I think that's something that was always at the back of my head, because what I saw sometimes at the hotels was probably the chef working at the same position for about 6 years, 7 years, and they'd be just doing like their skills and what they're doing, the responsibilities would keep increasing, but position wise and their pay wise, they would still be there for a very long time, because that is how conventionally things were done. Even when I was leaving, one of my bosses told me that you have to spend ye number of years before you step out and make it. Otherwise, you will not make it. I said, but why this particular number of years? He's like, no, that's when you are honed as a chef. I said, but I mean, I don't think
What
so.
was that number?
He said 10 years.
Okay.
He said 10 years you
Psychological
Psychology.
tactic to keep you there for 10 years.
probably. But things like तुम बाहर जाओगे तो लोग तुम्हें खा जाएंगे. It's not easy. Nothing is going to be easy, I'm sure. But why this number? Because I didn't understand that. And I was always fighting against these things, even when I was at the hotels. That if the person's good, he's performing well, that's all that matters for him to take on, go to the next level. How else is he going to be motivated to do the next thing? Even I was not even I wouldn't be personally motivated to do the next thing. So that's something that we were actively talking about, saying that we saw a housekeeping staff trying to make beverages and be a barista. He said, let's train him. He can't speak, it's okay, no problem. He is trying to learn a skill and develop himself. So let's train him. Even if he doesn't get trained, we'll still have him as a staff on board. So he is trying to make some pizzas. So we know that there are people willing, so let's let them also grow along with us. So I think those things really help. Retain people also, that I'm not just growing and be like, you take a back seat. They also have to grow and you have to be invested in them, saying that I see that you've taken on this challenge, you're taking up more responsibility, and I'm so glad. And those are the reasons why I can also step out and do other things. Like, I was away for the show for almost 3 months. I was doing back and forth from Mumbai to Hyderabad, 3 days there, 3 days there. And I still knew that there was no hampering in terms of my business, because there are people to take care of it. That there is something that is slightly on an automated mode, that I know that I have to intervene when there is something that's gone completely south. So,
How big is the team now?
so right now we have, it's not too big. It's all the staff involved, we have 58 people on board.
And for a 2-year-old business, like, very cool. Starting from a cloud kitchen. Nice.
So,
And
yes.
so 10 years from now, what are your dreams, if you have dreams? I never had dreams. I was like, okay, one step after the other, we got where we got to. So, but do you have like a 10-year out goal or a dream for yourself?
10 year, I am not sure, because now after stepping out, I know that things are ever changing. A lot of things are not under your control. Some things you have to just go with the flow. So I'm not sure. Like, I think at
No,
least.
that's perfectly cool.
Do you have anything that you see 10 years from now?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I mean, the world is going to be super different 10 years from now,
Yes.
even 1 year from now.
Yes.
So there's no point guessing. So
Absolutely.
I mean, if you can do your best today, tomorrow, I can see maybe a week beyond. Like, I mean, even that's not clear.